Good evening. I'm Greg Ferris, President of the Forney ISD Board of Trustees, and I hereby call this Forney ISD Board of Trustees meeting to order. We do have a quorum present, and the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required by law. The monthly meetings are open to the public. Although they're open to the public, we do ask our comments and questions of the audience to be confined to the time designated for citizens to address the board. Thank you for joining us tonight. Once again, we're going to skip to item number 13. We'll take number 13 out of order. The board will now convene into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074, 551071, 551072. No voting will take place in the closed session. Any action from this closed session will take place back in a regular session later this evening. Thank you very much. We'll now be dismissed at 6:01. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. First, I want to recognize our musicians tonight, and that is Aaron Goodwin back there and Sloan Collier. Thank you so much for your music. Mr. Lynn, our Fine Arts Director, is going to give them a certificate, and they're having their photo made. We thank these young students for coming to share their talents with us tonight. This time we'll move on then to item number 3, our introduction to the meeting and our invocation. Tonight's invocation will be led by Richie Mullis, pastor of Free Life Church. We're proud to have Richie and Free Life as our partners for our school. If you would come to the microphone, if you would all rise for the invocation, please.
I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to do this. You know, we don't take this lightly, that we continue to put God first, so thank you for that. Father, we thank you for who you are, and we thank you for the blessings that you've bestowed on this great city. God, we thank you that you're going to continue, Lord, to bless us as we trust you and put you first. And we pray and ask tonight for your guidance, for your wisdom, for understanding and even comprehension of one another. And I thank you for community. I thank you for divine protection over our students and our schools. Thank you that no weapon formed against them will ever prosper. Cover them now, God. Continue to direct, bless, and protect. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Bless you guys.
Thanks, Richie. Moving on now to our pledges. At this time, Dr. Stephanie Leach, principal from Forney Learning Academy, will introduce our students of the month, our secondary student of the month, and followed by Miss Beth Dalton, principal at Blackburn Elementary, to introduce our elementary student of the month. Principals?
Good evening, Dr. Terry, Mr. Ferris, members of the board, and an audience. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Forney Learning Academy Student of the Month, Anthony Arriaga. In attendance with Anthony is his mom, his aunt, uncle, and cousin. And Anthony joined our FLA family in August of this year with a desire to graduate early. When staff speaks of Anthony, they use words such as pleasant, personable, positive-minded, has a great attendance, communicates well, and advocates for his personal and learning needs. He is a hard worker, working at such a pace that in this quick-paced semester has accelerated him more than a full year of credits. He is on target to graduate early and already has an electrical apprenticeship lined up for after he graduates. He is a perfect example of an outstanding scholar for our unique learning environment, and we are very proud to have Anthony be our Student of the Month.
Got to get my readers on, sorry. Good evening, Dr. Terry, President Ferris, and members of the board and members of the community. My name is Heather Hembry, and I'm here presenting on behalf of Beth Dalton, principal of Blackburn Elementary, and my fellow assistant principal, Letitia McCline. And it's easy to speak about Walker Williams, our Blackburn Elementary Student of the Month. Walker spends time with his mom, his 3 brothers, his dad and grandparents, and his dog Hazelnut. He likes swimming, drawing, and reading. In fact, he said, "If you get me into a good book, I might not get out." His teacher, Miss Bachman, had the pleasure of having him not once, but twice in his time at Blackburn when he joined us in first grade and again in fourth grade. She was unable to join us tonight, but hearing what she had to say about Walker shows the reason that he was nominated for our Student of the Month. She says, "Walker is a shining example of kindness, uniqueness, and exceptional citizenship. With a heart as big as his smile," there it is, "Walker has captured the spotlight with his outstanding character, intelligence, and his artistic ability, but more importantly, with his gift of spreading joy while being true to himself. His unwavering kindness and remarkable individuality has made him a beacon of positivity here at Blackburn. Tonight, we celebrate Walker's remarkable achievements and his dedication to making the world a brighter place, one act of kindness at a time. Congratulations, Walker Williams, on being this year's Blackburn Elementary Student of the Month."
Thank you. Let's rise for our pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and one indivisible.
Congratulations. This one's for you. You step right over on that gold box in the middle. And Walker, this will be for you. We'll take a picture with him first, and then we'll do one with you, okay? This time we'll move on to acceptance of a donation from Griffin PTO. Ms. Kristen Zastapel, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, will present this.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris and the board. So the Griffin Elementary PTO had a very successful Big Kahuna fundraiser. So they would like to make a donation to Griffin Elementary in the amount of $13,000 for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Because it is over the limit, I need a motion to accept this donation. Do I have a motion from the board?
Mr. Ferris, I make a motion to accept the donation as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Bateman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Burkhalter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Thank you. Moving on to some student recognitions now. Ms. Zastapel, continue on.
So it is once again time for our 2023 holiday card contest. So I'd like to share a little video with you to celebrate. We had some incredible entries this year. So this evening, I believe we had several that couldn't be here. I'm going to go ahead and announce their names. If they are here, please come up. We have framed your card for you. We also have a set of cards for you to take home. And we will be sharing this video on social media tomorrow. I saw some parents videoing it, so it will go out on social tomorrow as well. So starting down there, yes, Dr. Terry, on the left, our pre-K through second grade winner was Audrey Chapman, first grade at Henderson. Don't think Audrey's here with us tonight. Our third through fourth grade winner was Brianna Jones, a fourth grade at Griffin. Okay. Our fifth through sixth grade winner was Chandler Bratcher, fifth grade Ray Intermediate. Just lots missing tonight. And our seventh through eighth grade winner was Kate Songer, eighth grade from Warren Middle School. And 9th through 12th was Catherine Chin, 12th grade at North Forney. And I did see our grand prize winner, Lindsay Balderas, 11th grade, Forney High School, in the audience. So. And we'll make sure those that not in attendance this evening get their award. And as you can see from the video, there were a lot of wonderful entries. We have a lot of honorable mention certificates we're going to be sending out to their campuses as well. Yes, and Ms. Torres, our art teacher.
Moving on to our next item is the Academic All-State Awards. At this time, Mr. Neil Weaver, Athletic Director, will come to the microphone.
Thank you, President Ferris. Dr. Terry, members of the board, it is always a pleasure to be able to recognize outstanding student athletes, and in this case, emphasis on student. These kids are academic all-state award winners from Texas Girls Coaches Association, Texas High School Coaches Association. To be considered for this award, they take into account their GPA, their class rank, their SAT and ACT scores. These students have to have a 92 average or above. They have to be of good moral standing and a significant competitor and participant on the varsity volleyball team. They are seniors. These two young ladies representing Forney High School. We've got first Miss Ryan Jones. Coach Nikki Carroll is joining us tonight to help with this presentation. And secondly, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this, but she's also a lead council member, and she washes some mean dishes. She joined us over at the Dallas Life Shelter today to serve lunch, and this is Miss Mia Santos. Congratulations, both of you.
That concludes our recognitions. We'll take a brief recess, and then we'll continue with the meeting. Thank you. Thank you all. We'll pick up now with reports. Item number 7. We'll start with our monthly financial reports. Mr. John Chase, Chief Financial Officer.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Tonight's monthly financial report is operating results through October of this year. Just starting with the general fund, year-to-date revenue collected was $42.6 million, which is 22% of the amount estimated. We did receive an October state aid payment of $16.5 million for the month, and for prior year comparison, we were about 22% collected as well. So looking pretty much as expected, revenue collections in general. The expenditures in the general fund year-to-date was $64.9 million, or 34% of the amount appropriated. And again, for prior year comparison, we were at 36%, so pretty close in comparisons. Moving on to food service, year-to-date revenue collected was $2.5 million. That's 34% of the amount estimated, and to kind of further break that down, was $909,000 was collected from students for school lunch or a la carte sales. $205,000 was supply chain assistance that we got from the federal government, and then the remaining $1.4 million was from the federal school lunch and breakfast reimbursement program. So the reimbursable meals for the month were 126, almost 127,000, and that's up 34% from the prior year. So looking really good in our food service program. Again, we've said this in the past months, but we kind of attribute that to our new food service management contract and the things that we're doing in the food service operation. So looking forward to good things in that program to continue. Prior year comparison on our revenue was 30% of estimated revenue. So we're actually a little ahead of where we were at in the same time prior year. Moving on to expenditures, year to date in the food service it's $2.5 million, or 26% of the amount appropriated. And again, for comparison, we were at 22% in the prior year. And then in the debt service revenue, year-to-date collected is $1.4 million, or 3% of the amount estimated. Not a lot of activity to report in the debt service program. Our tax collections, they don't really start picking up until November, December timeframe. So when we start presenting those reports, you'll start seeing pretty heavy collections. By the time December rolls around, we'll have between 25 and 50% of the collections, and the other, 75 to 50 to 75% will be collected through the end of January before the taxes go delinquent. So again, not a lot of activity to report revenue-wise, and for comparative purposes, 2% last year. So very, very comparable. And then year-to-date expenditures is $31.1 million, and that's 58% of the amount appropriated. And again, last year we were about 60%, so very comparable. And then finally, the cash investments on hand for October for general fund, food service, debt service, and capital projects was $413, almost $414 million. The bulk of that, again, was in the capital project funds. But that's the financial report. I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. We'll move on then to our first quarter investment report. Should be our fourth quarter, huh?
First quarter.
First quarter.
So we normally present this in the prior month, but since I was absent last month, we kind of held this report as for the quarter ending September 30 of 2023. So it's for July, August, and September. So start with the cash investments on hand at the end of the quarter was almost $441 million. Those are on deposit in our local depository, Citibank, or one of three investment pools. The interest that we've earned on these investments or cash was, as low as 4.8%, or as much as almost 5%. I would say 4.4 and change. 5.4 and change. And so that basically translates into the total interest earned for the quarter was almost $5.6 million, which, as you know, in not too recent past, when we were earning 0.2% or 0.1% on interest, we were basically getting nothing in our interest income. So this is definitely a welcome change from the not too recent past, the recent past. But that's the investment report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. And then moving on to our tax report.
So this is the tax collection report through September 30. This is our tax levy for the year was based on the values of basically $2 billion, and that's about 10% increase from the prior year. And I would remind everyone, when we were going through this process during the budget cycle, we had said that our values were up about 20 or 21%. Now, that was prior to getting the homestead exemption that moved from 40,000 to 100,000. And so when that increased, we lost about $1 billion in value, which was about 10 or 11%. The way the funding formula works, we're not really going to lose any money as the state's just what we don't collect in taxes, we're going to get through state aid, and they've set the formulas up, and even in the debt service account, where we're supposed to be made whole on the debt service side as well. We'll see how they actually implement the changes to that. But that's what their intent was when they changed the law on this. And so there was no current tax collections because the levy's not actually levied until October 1st, and so there would be no taxes paid on that until then. The taxes from prior years that were delinquent, we collected $444,000, which is about 0.4% of the total, expressed as a percent of the total current levy. And then that's, for comparative purposes, we collected, 5-year average about $536,000, or that's about 0.6% of the levy. So it's a little lower than it has been in the last 5 years, but nothing to really get too worked up over. So that's the tax collection report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I hear none. Thank you, Mr. Chase. I appreciate that. Then number 8, public forum. There's no one signed up to speak during public forum. Moving on then to item 9, consent agenda. 9A is approve the minutes from November 9th regular meeting. 9B, approve minutes from November 16th special called meeting. 9C, approve the budget amendments. 9D, approve the prevailing wage rates. 9E, approve the construction bids. The board can take these separately or collectively. Do I have a motion from the board? Ms. Bateman's made a motion for collectively, 9A through E. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on then to item 10, consideration of possible approval of the attendance zone modification plan for the 24-25 school year. Ms. Kim Morzak, Chief Operations Officer, will present.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris and board. Just a reminder on the process that we've gone through. We are on the last bullet up there. We have had a public meeting, public hearing, the special call meeting, looked at all the zone, and tonight is time for the board to potentially adopt the plan. I'll show you, remind you of the 2 maps. These are identical to what we showed at the special call board meeting a couple weeks ago. This is the adjusted elementary map that shows that adjustment up by the Lewis area and then that one small area at Griffin that we were able to adjust. Other than that, that map is the same that it's been from the beginning. And then the middle school and intermediate maps are identical to what you've seen from the beginning, just taking the district and dividing the quarters. They are the same for intermediate and middle school, so there's really just 2 maps. And as a reminder, the high school maps did not change. So any questions I can answer, or anything, any information I can provide at this time?
Thank you, Ms. Morzak. Dr. Cherry, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Just one thing, actually, and just as a reminder, this middle intermediate map actually provided for an opportunity to have true feeders. That is a rarity in a fast-growth school district, but we do have that opportunity with the map that you see in front of you that we've shared with you for the past few weeks. I don't know that will maintain all the way, to the existence of our school district, but it is a nice thing to have a lot of our programs and personnel. So I just wanted to point that out as well. But we'll be happy to answer any questions that you do have over either of the maps.
Board, you've heard the administrations. Do you have any further questions?
Just one quick question. From the special called session that we had a gentleman that came up and spoke. Were we able to address his concerns?
We looked at that area, and unfortunately, because there's just so much unknown in that area, if we were to rezone that now, we would very potentially have to go back and rezone that next year, just because we don't really know what that growth is at this time. But we are able to offer transfer opportunities for anyone who would like to apply for one of those, if that's something the board would like for us to look at in that area.
Any further questions from the board? I hear none. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Ferris, I move we approve the attendance zone modification for the 24-25 school year as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
It was Mr. Regan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Moving on to item number 11, consideration and possible approval of the 25-26 school calendar at a first reading. Ms. Morsack?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. This calendar, we did bring to our DEIC, our district committee, to look at. We only brought them one draft this year. It is the calendar very similar to the one we have this year. It's just moving all the dates forward. Really, everything fell really nicely into a calendar. It has the same split week start in August that our teachers were very excited about, and I think our younger students were excited about as well as a full day off prior to the Christmas break, full week off in October, full week in November, the Christmas break, December, January split, 4-day weekend in February, full week in March, 4-day weekend in April. So very similar to the calendar that you see this year, just with some adjustments to dates to allow for Easter break and those things. So only one draft this year because the calendar went over so well this year.
Any further questions? Okay, Ms. Elzey, you put this on our next consent agenda for the next meeting. Appreciate that. Then moving on to item number 12, consideration and possible approval of Chromebook purchases. Mr. Chase?
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. As the board's aware, we started offering Chromebooks to our students about 7 years ago, and they've got about 3 years. You can get 3 years out of them pretty easily, and then we stretched. Actually, this is actually the 4th year at this round of Chromebooks. So this will be like the second round we bought. We bought the first ones around the 2016 year, and we think within 15 or so. And then we bought some in 2019, and now here we are in 2023, needing to replace these Chromebooks again. And so we went out to bid, and we had a bid opening in late September. We actually received 22 responses, so it was a really active, lots of interest in bidding on these, and as a consequence, we really got a fantastic price on the 13,000 Chromebooks that we've got presented for purchase tonight. The unit cost on them were on the one that we're recommending was $88.69, and 4 years ago when we bought this same machine, is $192.50. So we're actually saving about $3.80 some odd cents there per machine, and if you multiply that out, it's almost 50,000 less than what we bought 4 years ago, which is in this day and time with the inflation and whatnot. It's pretty amazing, I think, that we can even get them this cheap. But Archangel, again, that's who came in as the lowest best value for our district. We have purchased Chromebooks from them in the recent past to fill in, a small order to fill in some needs that we had. They weren't this HP machine that most of our students have. I think there was a Samsung machine that we bought from them. But in any event, we've used this vendor in the recent past, and we don't feel like we're going to have any issues, getting the equipment from them in a timely fashion. So. The total purchase price of the 13,000 Chromebooks is $2,452,970. We're going to break this out into 3 different pots of money. The first one, we have instructional material allotment, about $500,000 out of that we're going to put towards this, which is just a special revenue fund that the state of Texas gives us to buy instructional resources with. And they award those funds on a revolving 2-year basis in each biennium, and so we've dedicated $500,000 in that funding source. We have some coronavirus relief funds, our ESSER funds that we have remaining. That's about $400,000 of that left that we can use to pay for some of these, and then finally the $1.6 million would come out of our general, and we were fully expecting to have this cost when we built the budget. We've got the funds. In fact, we have more than the 1.6 in our general fund to cover this, and so don't have any issues with making this work in our budget. So our recommendation is that the board approve the purchase of the Chromebooks from Archangel tablets as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Chase. Dr. Terry, comments?
In the days of pretty high inflation, it's pretty rare to see. Actually, I think we're probably paying a little bit less than we paid in the past. So we recommend approving this Chromebook purchase as presented. It's a pretty good deal across the board with the vendor we've used in the past.
Okay, the board, you've heard from the administration. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I move that the board approve the Chromebook purchase.
Thank you, Dr. Amudia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Burkhalter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I hear none. Item number 13, closed session. We took that out of order earlier this evening. We're moving on then to 14, resulting from that meeting, consideration possible approval regarding employment of professional contract personnel. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Ferris, I move that we approve the employment of professional contract personnel as discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Bateman? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And I hear none. Then we have a few announcements Dr. Cherry would like to share with us.
Thank you, sir. Well, one big one this week, make sure that you get your tickets early because the Forney High School Jackrabbits are playing in the state semifinal game this Friday in Midlothian. So make sure and get your Jackrabbit gear and Santa hat and bundle up for a great game this Friday against Aledo. We also do have Christmas break coming up, lots of events. Make sure you check the website for that. Lots of Christmas concerts, band concerts, choir concerts across our district over the next couple weeks. So pretty excited about that. Great time of year. And then I also wanted to point out on February the 2nd, go ahead and mark your calendars. Our goal is to fill the OC Arena with our community and a lot of student performances for the grand opening at the OC. So go ahead and mark your calendars now. Mr. Ferris, I think that'll do us, other than I would point out one thing. We will host our board meeting in January on the second Monday in January, not the first.
Thank you, Dr. Cherry, for calling those to our attention. It is now 7:36. Unless I have any other comments, I'll call this meeting adjourned.